guys, how are you? Welcome to your chemistry lesson. I'm gonna make a quick review for you. I hope you will be cool with this. So the topic that I want to explain today, you have to get familiar with these concepts. For example, here you have to know what is ions in general, ions, monoatomic ions and polyatomic ions. Monoatomic ions and polyatomic ion. Good. And then you should know how to make a compound from the ions. For example, we have binary compounds, which is important for your 11th grade. So binary compounds can be classified to ionic compound, binary ionic compound, and binary molecular compound. Then you will be learned stock system, and then you will study the acids and short explanation for salt. So I hope it will be benefit for you and it will be great revision for you. Let's get started. What is ion? You can say any species that gained or lost electron, it can be called ion. So by gaining or losing electrons, many main group elements form ion. So first of all, you should know what are main group elements. You should know what is the main group elements. Then we have two types of ion. Okay, we have ion can be divided into two parts: positively charged and negatively charged. So positively charged is called cation and loses electron. Negatively charged is called anion, which is gains electron. So as I mentioned, main group elements can be ion. For example, I'm gonna give an example for you, which is simple example, like sodium. When loses electron becomes sodium +1. So you will say sodium cation or sodium ion. Original name, you will use the original name of the element. But when you give an example for anion, for example, you will say chloride. IDE. Here you have what? You have IDE. You know, IDE is a suffix which is commonly used for anions. So you can recognize the anions, monoatomic anions, by what? By IDE. So as I said before, we have two types of ion, okay? Monoatomic ion and polyatomic ion. So now we just study monoatomic ion. I mentioned before, ions can be classified into two categories, which is monoatomic ion and polyatomic ion. Okay. Monoatomic ion, guys, you know that ions formed from a single atom, ions formed from a single atom called monoatomic ion. Let me just give you some examples, like what? Like hydrogen plus 1, lithium plus 1, sodium plus 1, potassium plus 1, rubidium plus 1, cesium and beryllium plus 2, which is group 2, magnesium plus 2, and calcium plus 2, and barium plus 2. These are examples for monoatomic ion, which are called cations. And also we have example for here from the periodic table. This part are positive and the right of the periodic table are negative. So I'm going to give you some example of negative ions. For example, here we have what? Nitrogen of group 15, which are -3, phosphorus -3, oxygen -2, sulfur -2, and fluorine -1, chlorine -1, bromine -1, and iodine -1. So these are the common example for monoatomic ions. So by using two of them, for example here, I can make a compound between what? Between lithium, which is positively charged, and fluorine. So I'm going to give you an example for you. Lithium fluoride. So lithium is +1, fluoride is -1. Okay. I'm going to turn to make a binary compound from monoatomic ions, from single atom ions. So then we will study polyatomic ion after explaining binary compounds. I should tell you one information about the name of the ions. For example, here you'll say barium. You don't change the name of the original element, rubidium, potassium, sodium. But for a negative ion, which are located of the right of the periodic table, you will change the name of original element. For example, fluorine, when it becomes ion, you will say fluoride. You will add IDE for monoatomic anions, which are negatively charged. For example, here we have nitrogen, right? So when it becomes N minus 3, you will say what? You will say this is nitrogen actually, but when it becomes minus 3, it becomes nitride. You will drop the last elements, the last word of the element, IEN, nitrogen, EN, and you will add IDE. So you will recognize the anions by IDE, monoatomic anions by IDE. Let's get started with binary compounds. Binary compounds. I said binary compounds can be classified to what? To binary molecular compounds, binary ionic compounds, and binary molecular compounds. So first of all, let's start with what? With binary ionic compounds. Binary ionic compounds. Okay, what is the meaning of binary? Binary we mean by what? We mean by two. First of all, you have to know it's composed of two different elements. So when I say binary compounds, you know that the compounds composed of what? Composed what? Of two different elements, of two different elements. So it's called binary ionic compounds. So the total numbers of positive charge and negative charge must be equal. For example, we have what? Magnesium bromide. Look at this example. We have magnesium plus 2 and bromide minus 1. But the total number of positive charges and negative charges are not equal. Now, what should I do? So here's plus 2, right? But here is minus 1. I'm gonna make a criss-cross product. I'm gonna add a 2 for here, and it's minus 1, right? If it's written means 1. So you will just add the value, absolute value, without charge to the subscript of the element, not for here. Okay, take care. This is number of mole. So when you make a formula, just you will add the subscript, okay, the down of the element and in front of the element. Okay guys, look at here, MgBr2. Why it's MgBr2? Because the charge of Mg is plus 2 and the charge of Br is still minus 2. You don't change the charge, only you will change the subscript. Take care, please. So 2 multiplied by minus 2, it's already 1. 1 multiplied by plus 2 is equal to 2. So 2 multiplied by minus 1 is equal to minus 2. Now the total number of positive charge and negative charge are equal to 0. Now the compounds the compound is balanced, MgBr2. This is first example. Look at the second example. For example, if I have what? If I have aluminium, which is plus 3, when becomes ion becomes plus 3, and oxygen, which is minus 2. So you see this, it is not balanced. Why? Because this one loses 3 electrons, but this one can take only 2 electrons. So the common number between 2 and 3 is 6. So you will add 2, 3, 4 here as a subscript, and you will add only 2 absolute number for aluminium. So you will write what? You have aluminium 2, oxygen 3. Now it is balanced. How? Here you have plus 3, oxygen is minus 2, so you will multiply 2 by 3 is equal to 6, and you will add 3 by minus 2 is equal to minus 6. So the total number for a neutral compound is equal to 0. Now the compounds is aluminium 2 or 3. So this is negatively charged, which is metal. The other one is non-metal. So in ionic compound, why we say ionic compound? First element is metal, second element is non-metal. Here, first element is metal, second element is non-metal. Always it must be like that. Why? Because we say ionic compound. Positively charged always metal, and negatively charged always non-metal. Okay, thank you. I'm going to continue the lessons in next video.